going to be bad, but everything we do now charts the course of future human destiny. How do we get people to tune into the fact that the great decision is being made, the greatest crossroads in human history, and deciding our future destiny? We hold humanity's destiny in our hands. How do we make that decision? How do we get people to take part? Because now I don't even hate the evil globalists. I don't like them and want to fight them. Before, I really hated them and had wrath towards them, and I still do. But more and more, I feel sorry for them and their minions who are missing out on this great paradigm.
Well, first of all, Alex, they're pathetic. They're pathetic little control freaks. Why are they control freaks? What is a control freak? It's a terrified, frightened person, because those that wish to control everything are seeking to control it because they're terrified of anything being in a state of flux. These people couldn't watch a football match without making sure they knew the result before the game started, because this is why they say in their own writings that one of the things that could bring them down is mavericks, because mavericks just flow and they don't get in fear of things just happening as they happen. So they're terrified. They want to control everything because they're terrified of not being in control of everything. They're pathetic. And what they don't understand is people who are not looking at being attached to an outcome, not wanting to control other people, but just living in the moment. They don't understand that, and that's why they fear mavericks, because that's what mavericks in that sense do. In terms of what you were saying earlier about we're all consciousness and it's just an experience, so it doesn't matter. Well, the question comes, yes, it is just an experience, but do you want a nice experience? Do you want your children to go through a terrible experiences? Do you want them to have their freedom to express themselves denied? Do you want to have them dumbed down through drugs and all the rest of it? Do you want them to be controlled every minute of the day, including eventually their thoughts, their very thoughts? Well, do you want that? No. So I ain't lying down, because I don't want my kids or any other kids or any adults to go through that. I don't want to go through it myself.
Well, more than that, though, at the spiritual level, the establishment is manifesting their Hellraiser type world here in the third dimension. They are manifesting this hellish system. This is our test. We are being tested of what we really are, and we're making a decision about what we are in eternity, aren't we?
Yeah. What's important is what I said earlier, to move our point of self-identity from I am Charlie Jones to I am consciousness, having experience of Charlie Jones. The reason for that, crucially now, Alex, is because we're entering a period where they're going to throw everything at us, not just the kitchen sink, as we say, but the plug as well. And if we get caught in the five senses, if we're in this world and of this world, and this is our only sense of reality, it's going to be very, very challenging, to say the very least. If we move our point of observing it to it's an experience, it's still going to be challenging, but it completely changes everything. I've got a quote here from someone who had a near-death experience. And what is a near-death experience? It's when that awareness, which is what we are, the eternal part of us, withdraws from the computer mind interface during a near-death experience. And suddenly what they say is there's a massive expansion of awareness and consciousness. Why? Because you're not being subject to the limitations of the computer anymore. And this is what the man said he experienced. And this is who we are. Everything from the beginning, my birth, my ancestors, my children, my wife, everything comes together simultaneously. I saw everything about me and about everyone who was around me. I saw everything they were thinking now, what they thought then, what was happening before, what was happening now. There is no time, there is no sequence of events, no such thing as limitation, of distance, of period, of time, of place. I could be anywhere I wanted to be simultaneously. Now, what he was describing is who we really are, Alex. And can you imagine if you're a control system, mate, and you want to control humanity en masse? Can you imagine how terrified you would be of people realizing that's who they are? Your control system's over. You have to make them think that they're powerless little our self-identity, our observation of this reality to that level of who we are, suddenly not only do we take our power back and start to manifest what we call miracles, which are not miracles at all, they're just possibility manifesting itself because we understand now it's possible, but it also will get us through this experience in a much smoother way than it would if we get caught in I am my body and I am my name and all that stuff.
David, let me throw 2 points out at you along that line and get your response, and I do want to run through a bunch of separate points and get your quick response to those. It's very humbling. Throughout my life, very early on, and I know everyone is having this experience. I'm going to make that point. This is nothing special. It's, I guess, just special in how this information manifests and the choices I've made, destiny, in how many people I'm now reaching. But that I've always had a love affair with creation and humanity and goodness and love and beauty. And I always didn't have the experience of who I was my entire life, my ancestors, who people are, where they came from, but I could see shadows of that. And then now, you talk about being overwhelmed for 3 months. Now I am like that every day before I go to bed at night, and I literally lay there with my limited consciousness and focus, being able to peer into this window and look into that window and open this box and expand into this area, and it's accurate and it's real. And now I look at an incredibly beautiful woman, or I look at some, hunchback, disheveled cleaning person. It doesn't matter. And I see the beauty of the species. That's how I see them as their ancestors, their struggles, the good, the bad, the ugly, the tumults, the great exertions, the great failures, the great victories. I realize I'm connected to everyone. And it accelerates to a point of where I do have to struggle just to not close down shop, move to the country, and literally sit under a tree, because I'm more and more drawn to that. But then I'm also separately just as passionately drawn towards resisting the globalists and meeting them and facing them. And then I feel the strength of humanity, and then I begin to envision our destiny. And I just wish that other people could see it so that they wouldn't be destroyed and wouldn't be part of this system and wouldn't be taken over by this metastasizing counterfeit, as they admit they're using Google and the technocracy so they can play God, and predictive systems and algorithms to know what we're going to do and what our tastes are and who we are. And it just it's like trying to drink out of Lake Superior with a pixie straw.
Yeah, I've got a quote from Einstein, who to a very large extent had sussed a lot of things, and he talked about the delusion. He called reality an illusion, albeit a persistent one. But it's a persistent one because we keep decoding it out of the wireless internet that I'm talking about.
It keeps on coming.
He said this delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. And that's what kind of happens as you open your mind. It's literally opening your mind. Nothing wrong with mind. It's the interface. It's like saying something wrong with a computer when you're going on the internet. But it has to take its place to serve consciousness and serve the experience and not be the governor. And as you kind of do that, you do widen your circle of compassion, because and from the people immediately around you, because you start to realize that you are the ocean. You're not just a droplet. They want us to believe we're a droplet, because then we're just a droplet. What can we do?
Well, that was my point. The droplet is the ocean.
Access the ocean. I mean, it's all over. And so this awakening is going to, as this control system comes down, it is literally going to transform this world into what we would call now utopia. It's not utopia, it's our natural state. You see, I use this analogy in my talks, about how amazing we really are. If you've got a ball in a tank of water, its natural state is floating on the top of the tank. To put it in an unnatural state, which is what this control system has done to humanity, you have to push the ball to the bottom of the tank, and you have to hold it there. You can't let go, because boom, it's in its natural state in a second. And
so the vaccines, the water, the television...
What they have to do is throw everything at us, including destabilizing our body computer receiver-transmitter system through the additives in food and drink. They have to program us in the way I talked about earlier, through the education system and the media. All these things they have to do to keep us in an unnatural state. That's how amazing we are, and we're going back to that state, and it's coming down.